Welcome to PsychicBent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic. Welcome back to PsychicBent, everyone. We hope you've been enjoying our healer series that we've been doing for the past several episodes. This week we are going to be discussing Reiki, which I know we've talked about on several episodes, but being a Reiki practitioner, Reiki Master, it is a healing practice, and many people can really benefit from the healing of a Reiki Master or just a Reiki 1 or Reiki 2. I think those are the stages or the levels that they are. So we're going to go ahead and throw this on over to Carrie so she can talk to us about being a Reiki and what is involved in that healing practice. Carrie?
Sure. First of all, listeners, I'd like to apologize for Ranger's rude behavior in the last podcast. He was purring very loudly and very demandingly meowing. So he's an old cat. He can't change it. So I do apologize for that.
Oh, no, shouldn't apologize.
He's in the other room, so we should be good. So we're going to jump right into what is Reiki. I've had some, as a Reiki master, I went through, this is schooling you can do. You don't have to have a degree like some of the other modalities we talked about. But you do have to go through training to do Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese technique to help reduce stress and help promote healing and help you relax. It's administered by laying on hands is what they call it. But some Reiki, you don't have to touch. Some practitioners do the touching in several spots around around your body. Others just hands over areas. So it depends on the practitioner on whether or not they actually do lay hands on you. But that's what they call it, laying on hands. And it's based on an idea of life force energy that flows through us. And of course, here comes that life force energy up again. If your life force energy is low, then you're more likely to feel stress or get sick. If it's high, you're more capable of being healthy and happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Just real quick, can it be too high?
I don't think you can be too happy. Can you be too happy?
I don't know. That's what I was asking.
Well, I think, I don't think it can be too high, but I think, the higher that life force energy, and of course, your vibration is going to be up there as well. And from a spiritual psychic standpoint, you're probably going to be more in tune with your guides.
Yeah.
Now, Reiki is actually, it's Reiki is the spelling, and it's actually two Japanese words, where Rei means God's wisdom or higher power, and Ki, of course, is life force energy. So basically, Reiki is actually spiritually guided life force energy. That's why it's a wonderful modality for psychics to take advantage of, because, we, as empaths and psychics, we pick up a lot of stuff. And this is a good way to help get your chakras in order. It's a great way to de-stress and keep your vibration high. That would keep lower vibrational entities away. So it's really a great modality. And as you learn Reiki, if that's something you choose to do, you could do Reiki on yourself. So you don't necessarily have to go to a practitioner. You could do, they call it kitchen chair Reiki, where, you just sit in the chair and nothing formal and just kind of whatever's bothering you, you send that, you do that the light energy and everything through to that area. It's really easy to do. I learned Reiki after getting Reiki. Mm-hmm. And, and I wanted to use it for my own personal benefit when I first started doing the Reiki. I have done Reiki for people. I don't practice it and charge for it because I just don't have the setup for that. And that could be an expense. So I don't practice with like a business, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What would make it an expense?
Well, you have to have, obviously, like similar to a massage table for someone to lay on.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You'd have to have the space for it. And I am not a keen person of having strangers in my home. So I would have to have a place to do it.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's the expense. If you're able to, because you could get a used massage bed. It doesn't have to be a brand new one. It's just got to be something comfortable.
Yeah.
And, those tables, you can actually get the portable ones, and you could go to people's houses and do Reiki too, if that's something you're comfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just me. Once my outbuilding is set up, I might try it that way, but right now it's just like, I don't want other people's energy in my home.
That's fine. I was just curious as to what would make it an expense, because really there's
Yes.
no tools involved with Reiki that you need.
Yeah, well, the massage,
Well, that except for that,
bed
yeah.
for the person. Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, you have to, have a space for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do the Reiki with crystals or whatnot, you have that initial expense. And then you've got you need to have a calming sound going, so you need the setup for that, nice vibrational music going, so it's a little setup to it.
Gotcha.
But if you're doing it in the kitchen, you just need a chair.
Yeah.
But that's just a quick Reiki. That's not a normal Reiki session.
Okay.
But Reiki, it's simple, it's natural, it helps you in so many ways. It's the first time I had it done, I went to a practitioner that was a hands-off Reiki master. So she, was walking around and the hands above, and I just had my eyes closed, and I could feel so much energy coming through my crown chakra.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like a big knot came out of my throat chakra. I could feel it, it was like, just got, like, it felt like it just got pulled out. I actually cried. And it was an hour-long session. And see, when the Reiki practitioner, how this works is the healing comes through them and goes to you. So when you give Reiki, you're getting Reiki yourself. And so when the session was done, I said, "Is this how it normally is?" And she went, "Nope." So I went, "Oh." And she goes, "You were pulling in the energy like crazy." She goes, it was pretty good. I'm like, "Well, I didn't know what to expect." And she goes, "Oh no, that was, and so it was like, okay." So I really kind of felt like I was supposed to be doing that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And what's funny with her was I didn't get the psychic vibe. She wasn't an active psychic.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it. She may have, whether or not she had abilities, I don't know. She was very closed off. But she also knew I was psychic, so that could have been the reason why she was a little closed off. And that's how it was for me the first time. It may not be that way for you the first time, but it was pretty awesome. Now, how you do a Reiki is taught. Well, it's not taught in the usual sense. It's transferred to a student during a Reiki class. So you get an attunement is what it's called when the ability to perform Reiki is passed to you. It's an attunement, and it's given by a Reiki master, and it allows the student to tap into the unlimited supply of life force energy to improve one's health and quality of life. Its use is not dependent on any spiritual development. You don't have to be trying to become a psychic to learn Reiki. You don't have to. I mean, if you're at a point when spiritually you're okay, you can still get Reiki. You don't need an intellectual capacity, so you don't need a master's degree. Anyone can learn Reiki. They just have to believe in it.
When you mention the attunement, are you given that at each stage, like for Reiki 1, and then you get a different one at Reiki 2, and then for the master, or is it just giving it to you once and then you have the power or the ability to use that for the Reiki sessions and such?
You get the attunement once.
Just once. Okay.
Just once, yeah. And there's different things you learn to do Reiki. Now, the thing about Reiki is just it's spiritual in nature. It's not a religion. There's no dogma. You just have to believe in order to learn and use Reiki. If you go into it with that, well, I'm going to learn it, but I don't really get it. It's not going to work for you. You have to believe in it. And you can have any belief system you want and still be able to work with Reiki. So it's one of those where anybody can do it. Any religion can do it. Any life belief, whatever your walk is, you could do Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
It's to help promote harmony in others. It's just all rainbows, I guess you want to call it, But, like with life happens, we've talked about that before, where you don't realize you get these blocks and you don't realize your vibration has dropped because you're living life and you're dealing with situations. And this is where you could have a moment to just do some self-Reiki, and meditate and then do some self-Reiki. Sometimes I do Reiki in bed before I go to sleep on myself.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on the kind of day, but it doesn't take long. Now, when I do Reiki, the palm of my hands get hot. Like right now I'm talking about it, my hands are hot. So that's kind of funny, but for me, my hands get hot when I'm giving Reiki. Sometimes I have to run them under cold water to stop. There's different techniques for starting and stopping the Reiki that you would learn. Now, the founder of Reiki is Makia Asui, and I'm sure I said that wrong, which is the system for natural healing. Reiki was developed by Makia Asui and Reiki ideas to the practice of Reiki. So he developed all of the ideas, the 5 principles that do go with Reiki. So there's a lot to learn to it, but it's easy to do. Mm-hmm. And the purpose of Reiki that he developed was healing the spirit by consciously deciding to improve oneself. It's a necessary part of the Reiki healing experience. So in order for Reiki energy to have a lasting result, you must, as a client, accept responsibility for your own healing and take an active part in it. So the Reiki is more than just a use of energy. It also can include an active commitment to improve yourself.
Which is true with any healing.
Yes.
In order for you as a patient or client to receive a benefit of something, whatever the medical treatment or spiritual treatment, whatever, you do have your commitment you have to make to accept it.
Yes.
And better yourself with it, whatever that is.
Yes. And the guidelines for living a gracious life and virtuous worthy of practice is the inherent value of Reiki. Asui had quoted as saying for Reiki, the secret art of inviting happiness, the miraculous medicine of all diseases, just for today, do not anger, do not worry, and be filled with gratitude. Devote yourself to your work, be kind to people, every morning and evening, join your hands in prayer, pray these words to your heart, and chant these words by your mouth. And that's something that he would have you do every day. Mm-hmm. You would do that quote every day.
Well, you can only go to positivity after that.
Exactly. Do you have any questions on that so far?
No, I think I was spitting my questions out as we were going, so I'm good.
Okay, spit them out. Reiki is very big in Asia, but then in Japan, Reiki was taught, where another Reiki master added a little bit onto the original Reiki and made it more westernized. So there's no right or wrong. It's kind of where you feel taken to, what you're drawn to. The point of Reiki is to that you could do it for yourself, to help yourself. There's a thing called a Reiki hand. And that is a phenomena you might experience with a Reiki person who does the laying the hands on type Reiki. And I've had both. Mm-hmm. And when I give Reiki to myself, I'm laying the hands on. But, when you're doing Reiki, when you're giving Reiki, they touch different areas of your arm, your head, going around your body clockwise, while you're laying there. Mm-hmm. And I have sciatic issues in my left leg. And so sometimes my left toe feels numb. So she's doing the Reiki and she got to my feet and she took my toes, both feet, and took the toes and pulled them kind of out a little bit. And then she moved on and my left foot was still held onto by a hand.
Oh, wow.
And she's already moved on. Yeah, so she's moved to my right side of my body, to my right leg. And I had to open my eyes like, did somebody come in here? I was like, is there another person in here? And there wasn't. But I could actually feel that. And it's a phenomenon. It's called Reiki hand, where the Reiki energy is staying where it needs to be while moving on. Now, this particular person was a psychic that gave me the hands-on Reiki. Mm-hmm. So the experience I had with her was different than the other experience. And so I think it also kind of depends on what you need when you're getting Reiki and who's giving you the Reiki.
I could see that.
Yeah. So this one gave me a slight reading after Reiki, which I wasn't expecting.
Was she?
And which
Is that part of her practice?
I don't know.
Ah,
She moved. I was going to go back and see her and give her Reiki, and her husband got transferred to Tennessee, and she moved.
oh,
So I don't know. So it's like, I was ready to go back and get some more because you do feel good if you're open to that, letting that energy come through you. It's an amazing experience and really good feeling. When it happens. But she had told me that I had been spiritually attacked, and it was like she could see an axe in my back around the heart area, and that she wanted me to know that she removed it. And I thought that was interesting.
and did you feel anything after she gave you that reading? Do you recall feeling anything of that could have been when that happened?
No. Well, I kind of got the psychic thing of, oh, I know who did that. That kind of thing. And I remember I called you
Yeah.
on my way home. And I'm like, I bet it was this person. You're like, that's who I was thinking too. But it was a very interesting experience.
Yeah. Sounds really interesting.
Yeah. Well, Reiki could do a lot for you. I mean, I had my ex-husband didn't, he kind of thought it was weird. But when he was hurt, he'd want me to do Reiki on him. I'm like, well, which is it? Am I weird or which is it? So, but yeah, if his back was hurting, but can you do that thing on me? I'm like, all right. So
It's weird until you need it.
exactly, and then all of a sudden you need it.
And then it's weird again.
So, and then it's weird again. Yeah, and it's weird again. So the principles, because I mentioned earlier the 5 principles of Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
Principle number 1 is just for today, do not worry. Number 2, just for today, do not anger. Number 3, honor your teachers, parents, and elders. Number 4, earn your living honestly. And number 5, show gratitude to all things, all living things. Pretty simple, huh?
Yep.
If we all repeated that daily, and sometimes you have to probably do it more than once a day, depending on the kind of day you're having, we would be better people.
Well, that's true.
And our vibration would be higher.
Yep.
Yeah, so I need to say that before I get in the car. Drive to work. Driving to work's no problem. No one's on the highway. It's 5 a.m, but driving back, it's a little busier. So you can use Reiki to support conventional medicine. It's not a replacement for it, but you can use Reiki to help support whatever medical issue you're having. Reiki doesn't treat or cure a health related condition,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more of supporting a spiritual connection. It can help with anxiety. It may reduce pain, but it's all about the sense of the spiritual connection and well-being. So if anyone is offering Reiki treatment alone and basically telling you don't have to do the other stuff, I would find a different Reiki person, because you do need, if you're being treated for a medical condition, this could help, but it's not going to cure. You do need to use it in with other treatments. Some practices, I think is more popular probably in California. Some doctors' offices actually have Reiki technicians that are there. It depends on what kind of doctor's office it is, whether they believe in the holistic approach or not. But that's not uncommon to have a Reiki worker at a hospital or working at a doctor's office.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could see why they would, with the way you feel after having a session performed on you. You feel good, you feel better. Then why not offer that in your practice? That type of service in your practice. There's more and more people that believe in the healing of the hand with the hands anyway. The laying on the hands
Yes.
being a very spiritual, healing, effective practice. So, yeah, It just has the name of Reiki in front of it. So,
and it helps with relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you are going through an ailment, relaxation is key for recovery. It may downregulate the automatic nervous system tone, which would relieve tension, anxiety. It could lower blood pressure. You could feel calm. And when you think about it, just laying there and just letting the experience happen, you would be calmer.
Yeah.
And it has no side effects.
Yeah, it can be used on anybody, all ages.
Yeah.
Anybody can experience
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes. So, we talked about some of the benefits like reducing stress, reducing blood pressure. It can help with pain control, but it's like I said, it's not going to take it all away. It could help. Anxiety and depression. It can increase self-esteem and quality of life with people with chronic health conditions. It can help you with sleep quality.
Right.
And it can help managing some conditions with if you're going through cancer treatment. It can help. It's not going to cure. It could help.
Right.
And you could have a sense of stronger connection with yourself. So spiritually, it can heighten and help with your psychic abilities. Because every time you give Reiki or get Reiki, that life force is basically the chi that's helping you. It also can help with positive thinking, because if you're reciting the 5 principles every day and you're trying to be kind and you're trying to do all these things, you are going to have a more enhanced positive thinking.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. It is performed in almost any setting. Like we said, hospice, it can be performed in a surgery, an operating room. It is something that can be done. It can also help with the transition of someone passing. I gave Reiki to Mom when it was getting close. I gave it to her, and you're not allowed to give Reiki to someone who doesn't want it. So if I say, Kim, can I give you Reiki? And you're like, no. I'm like, but it's going to help you. You can't do it. You have to have that person's acceptance of it.
Well, yeah, because if you're sending it and they're not willing to accept it, then it's just wasted energy,
It's wasted energy, yes. And a Reiki Master can send energy to someone so that you don't have to be in the same room with them.
Right.
You can still send Reiki energy. It's just it's a certain practice that the Reiki person does to send it. And there's different symbols, of course, that you learn that to help to do with certain parts of the Reiki.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the different symbols. How does that work? Because as the research I was doing said that the Reiki Master visualizes these symbols, but
Yes.
do they just visualize them? Do they have them, like displayed around the room? What do the symbols do?
Yeah, they can be displayed around the room. It's usually not promoted to discuss the symbols outside of Reiki.
Okay.
But you can draw the symbol on your hand before you do Reiki. You can visualize the symbol and say its name. So it's kind of, there's different steps to it.
Okay.
I'm just going to put it out there like that. Yeah, because when I was learning Reiki, it was kind of like, it's hard to find the Reiki. You can find Reiki symbols on the internet. It's just part of the practice that, it's a personal thing. You just don't throw them out there.
Do you, like you said, drawing them, let's just say it was a drawing on the hand situation. Do you know what one you're going to need beforehand? Or
See, you can't. I think you're trying to make this too left-brained. I know you're trying to understand that I can't send Reiki. Like if I do Reiki to you, the life force is going to come in and go where it needs to go.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say, "Hey, I'm going to direct the light force," and that doesn't work that way. It's that you let the energy come through you, and it comes through the crown, chakra, and goes through you, but it goes where it needs to go.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it's just, you don't get it. Sorry. See, I'll put Reiki, because you place your hands in different areas. So you're bringing it through the body, but it's going to go where it needs to go. So there's certain symbols you use for sending Reiki to someone. The class I took, they discouraged you from sharing all the Reiki symbols and all that outside of actual Reiki. So that's kind of why I'm like, I don't know how much about this I can, tell you.
Okay.
Well,
That's fine. I okay.
Okay. So a usual session can go about 45 or 90 minutes. And usually, if you're going to get Reiki for a particular situation or something going on with your body, you really should get typically 3 sessions. It's just going to depend on why you're going to Reiki. You usually lay down, and like I said, you either do it with, not touching you or touching you. You do have to have the person's consent if you're going to be touching. This is something Kim would like because you don't have to take your clothes off. You're fully clothed. And there are at least 12 positions on the head and the 7 main energy centers, your chakras.
Mm-hmm.
The way I was taught was that you can draw the symbols on your hands. These symbols are supposed to enhance the quality and the transmitting of the energy.
Okay.
And during Reiki, some of the common sensations, heat, cold, tingling, or nothing at all. So you may go to Reiki and you may not have because you may not get the experience that I had. But I think the first time I had Reiki, I had so much going on with my chakra system.
Yeah.
That it really hit me. And I mean, I can't tell you how long my throat chakra was probably messed up, from just life happening, So if you don't feel anything, that's okay too. It doesn't mean it's not doing it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. When you were doing your research, did you come across pictures of the symbols? There's some out there.
I did not go look at the symbols themselves, the images. I was just more or less focusing on the word, more or less as to what the purpose was, how to pronounce the name. My left brainness, the left side there was taking charge, and I wasn't viewing the images. But yeah, I know there's images out there.
Yeah, I mean, they're out there.
That wasn't my goal, was to see what the images were. I just ran across it in my research that there were symbols, and I was like, well, what are the symbols used for? Why symbols? That was my research.
And I'm surprised you didn't go look for them.
I didn't look all the way into them. No, for some reason, I just didn't go look at them. I didn't have to see them.
I don't need to see them.
I wasn't drawn to see them. I was just drawn to look at the research about them, what they were called, what they were for, the benefits of them. That's just where I went. So.
Okay, I was just curious. Yeah, and if you have a Reiki person who does the chakra healing stones while doing Reiki, those stones would be placed on your chakras, and the color of the stone would match the color of that particular chakra.
Right.
So there's different kinds of Reiki you can do. I learned Reiki through Udemy. Mm-hmm. We've talked about Udemy before, and I received my attunement. It was sent to me. Now, a lot of Reiki here is very expensive in Asheville, and so that's why I opted to that route. It's not everybody agrees you could receive the attunement that way, but if you can send Reiki, if I can send you Reiki, then why can't I receive the attunement that way? Is my philosophy.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you like in Asheville, when I priced it, which was a while ago, I mean, you were talking to become a Reiki Master, you're going to be paying over $1,000 because you have to do Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and then you get your the Reiki Master. So to me, it was better to do it through Udemy, the course, and there's things you could print up. It goes about all the symbols and everything. After Mom passed, I waited 6 months to have my psychic friend do a reading for me. And I asked, because I gave Reiki to Mom without asking permission.
Yeah.
She couldn't answer. She was, she was to that stage. So I went and gave it, and I asked, I said, I gave Mom Reiki. And that's a hospice practice where Reiki masters do go in and give Reiki to those that are getting ready to transition, to help with the transition process. And so I had asked, I said, was Mom okay with me giving her Reiki? And she says, oh yeah, she saw all these pretty colors. That made me feel good. But it can help with so many different things, but especially when someone is transitioning, to help with that process.
Yeah, to take away the pain and such that they're feeling.
Yes, and make them more relaxed. You don't know what to expect. People usually see people. when it's leading up to the transition. Mom had angels in the room. There were 4 of them,
Mm-hmm.
so that I could see. So she had a team there for her, and Grandma was there. So I think that when you understand how the transition works, it's not so scary.
Right.
But so many people have the fear of religious dogma consequences, that it cannot be peaceful. So Reiki is good for that as well.
Right. Well, and depending what's going on at their transition, it may be scary.
Yes. And we as psychics, we talk about the entities, the difference between a spirit and a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about how people didn't go, those that are here are afraid to go to the light.
Right.
They don't want, because it's the unexpected. And with giving Reiki to someone who's transitioning, it's beautiful for them, because it's life energy, it's good energy coming through you, and it makes you calmer and peace, and the transition is just better.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
but it's very common to use in a hospice situation. So if you feel you want to give back, like we talked about in the last episode, giving back to the community, this would be a great modality to learn. It takes a special person to work in hospice.
Yeah, not everybody can do that. That's for sure.
Not everybody can do that. Yes. And when you've experienced hospice, you see these people are very special people.
Oh, yes.
But, you could even work in you'll volunteer in a nursing home to give Reiki. There's a lot of things that you could do for Reiki. I mean, I will, if I see an ambulance, I will send Reiki if they're willing to accept it. If they're not willing to accept it, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right. So you're sending it, are you sending it as, if you choose to accept this, please?
Yeah, sending you healing energy if you choose to accept it.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah, I like Reiki, but like I said, I don't practice practice it just because it's a lot more expense, and I have a full-time job.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now, I have seen Reiki practitioners at psychic conventions and paranormal convention that do like 25-minute Reiki.
Right.
So it's a great way to experience Reiki. Like, some of them just have you sit in a chair because it's not going to be a long Reiki experience. But if you just want to try it out, that's the best way to try it out,
Mm-hmm.
is to go to a psychic fair, because normally there's Reiki practitioners there.
Right.
Because a lot of practitioners are psychic.
And it makes sense to go to a convention like that to try out the different types of skills or whatever that are there. Like the tarot
Right.
readings and, different things. So, yeah.
Yeah. You have different card systems. You have different types of psychics, which is really interesting. I went to one that she just did past life. She told me about a past life.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. I like to go and not say I'm psychic.
Yeah.
See what they pick up. And I had one person told me I had a dog with me. Well, the old house that I lived in was haunted with a dog.
That's true.
So, which was really funny, because when I was talking to my psychic friend at a paranormal convention, she's like, "Oh, your house has a man and a woman and a dog in it," and I'm like, "Dog? I haven't seen the dog." And she goes, "It's there." And then I swear within a week the dog showed up. Just like, okay, there's the dog. All right.
Surprise.
I knew about the man. I knew about the man and the woman.
Yep.
I did not know about the dog. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So, and for me, Reiki, I was learning it at a time that I needed to learn it, if that makes sense. It really helped for me for clarity, and learning how to do this energy healing. I felt it helped my psychic development, because I think that especially when I started, receiving Reiki by practitioners, it just kind of, because it was a good experience both times.
Mm-hmm.
The Reiki hand floored me,
Yeah.
and the first time it was just, I'm like, who's holding onto that foot? And so it was nice to experience the two different ways of doing Reiki. And if I could find someone in the area that does crystal Reiki, I'd be like, okay, let's try that.
Yeah.
But, I just think that, as psychics, we go through and especially empaths, we go through so much and we collect so much that we forget sometimes that we need to release our energy on a daily basis, release the energy you've picked up.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And to be able to draw back your energy that's been taken from you. And I think Reiki is a great opportunity to just have that, have that cleansing of all the stuff that you've picked up that's not yours, that doesn't serve you, just gone. And that's, and I believe that's why you feel more calm after the Reiki session, because all that stuff you psychically have collected is now gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's a great, everybody should try it. But like I said, you may not feel anything.
Mm-hmm. You're a prime example as to how spirit tends to send things to you when you least expect it and didn't know you needed it, or that
Mm-hmm.
it takes it away because you don't need it. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
it's really,
Yes.
you're a prime example of that because you didn't know you needed the Reiki, the
No.
different
Yeah.
Reiki practices that performed on you. You didn't know that. It was just you were drawn to it. So there it was. Really cool.
Yes. And that's the key thing there, though. You made a great point, is you have to be willing to listen to what spirit's telling you, or be aware of where you're getting pushed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty open to it, and so I think because I'm pretty open to it, it happens more.
Yeah.
Because I will during meditation, like, okay, or if I'm doing a psychic bath or shower, I release my energy, I call it back, mine, clean and renewed, and then I release what doesn't serve me. Spirit's like, all right, let's do it. So I think that if you set the intention that you want to be guided where you need to be guided, it'll happen more frequently, because it's going to happen anyway. But I think it might happen more frequently.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And because you're open for it, you're like, okay. Sometimes the results are like, oh, well, I didn't see that coming. Okay. Well, obviously needed to go, but I accept it,
Yeah.
because I asked. And so when you accept learning Reiki, or you accept the energy that comes from Reiki, and you go in thinking, okay, whatever Reiki needs to do, you do. And I think the experience will be much more enjoyable, and maybe more, you'll feel more things when you have it done, versus, well, let's see what this is going to do, but I doubt it, because you're not really open.
Right. Exactly. Or you're going in kind of closed-minded as far as I need it for this and only
Yes.
this, but yet that's not
Yeah.
really what you need, you know?
Well, it was really funny. After I had the first session, at night sometimes when I'd be sleeping, I would feel like there was energy coming through my stomach, going down to my stomach, and I would see light. I would see light. And when I went to the psychic, and I said, how come I keep at night, I'll wake up and I'll see light coming down to me? And she goes, well, you need to figure that out. She goes, I know, but you need to figure it out. And I'm like, okay, because it was like, and so I think that was part of the, learning Reiki.
Oh, okay. So it was while you were learning Reiki in that process?
Yeah, it was while I was learning Reiki. So so again, I was open
Aha.
to whatever's going to happen with Reiki.
Yeah.
And like with the few times I have given Reiki to other people, I'll be like, man, my hands do my palms get really hot.
Uh-huh.
So it's funny. And, like when I would, the ex-husband, when I do Reiki on, I'd have to go run my hands under cold water. That's one way of stopping Reiki, when if a practitioner is running cold water on your hands, or, it's one of the techniques. But yeah. And like I said, I've done it on myself, whether, I've touched the chakras,
Mm-hmm.
and ran the Reiki through different hand symbols to myself, just to get things going right.
Yeah. And if you can't talk about this, that's okay. But you're having your session with someone as you did like with your ex-husband, you washed your hands or, put your hands under cold water. You said there's other ways to end a session. After you do the session, is that where you go ahead and do your drawing your energy back to yourself, disconnecting your connection, not just with the washing of the hands? Are there more psychic or spiritual things that you do at the end of the session to close it out? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, mentally, I'm stopping. I'm closing it out. This is ending. Mentally, and I'm setting the intention of disconnecting from their energy
Uh-huh.
because I don't want to, I don't want to take their energy, any of their energy with me.
Right.
So there's the definite. Okay, I'm disconnecting, and it's however you visualize disconnecting.
Okay.
Because it's for different people, different ways. So, like, like visualization for me could be like mentally hanging up the phone.
Gotcha. And mine would be
Yeah,
unplugging
we're
the
done.
giant plug, pulling it out.
Yeah, see, the giant plug pulling it out. Me would be hanging up the phone. Click. Okay, severed.
Gotcha.
And then you want to make a point of releasing their energy. Like anything that you might have picked up because the energy is flowing through you, but you're in the same room with this person, and as an empath, you're going to pick stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very good to, once you hang up the phone or end the session, then you can just release. If you get psychic hits, now would be the time to
Approach that with
give
the
them.
client. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, that would be because you would get psychic hits while doing Reiki because, you're basically sending energy to this person. You're touching them. You're moving around, to the different areas of the body and, working through the chakras. So, you would experience as a psychic some hits.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know if there was a set
You should get,
procedure or at the close of a session,
yeah, they give you different techniques for starting Reiki and ending Reiki. But it's just like with anything else. It's just like like when Julie does her type of psychic reading, she sees a lot of symbols.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, those symbols may not mean anything to me or you, but that's what she knows the meaning of those symbols to her. So I think is also a way of ending. But the hot hand sensation under the cold water is for me because it's odd sensation. Your palms are hot.
Mm-hmm.
You're not hot, but your palms are hot. So it's kind of like okay, let's just put these under cold water and get that sensation going. And it also helps end the flow too. But you have to going into it also want to protect yourself.
Right. Exactly. I figured there was a protection process in the beginning.
Yeah, you should meditate. You should cleanse the room. Smudge it, cleanse it. So the person coming in is going to feel calm just by coming into a room that's been cleansed.
Mm-hmm.
And you should always cleanse yourself and, smudge yourself or whatever, however you do your protective bubble. When you can't have a bubble up while you're doing Reiki, but you're protected during Reiki because you have that life force coming through.
Gotcha.
So psychically, you're safe. And so is the person receiving Reiki.
Right.
So, and then to me, you would probably want to smudge when you're done after the person leaves because, to get rid of any lingering energy.
Or entities that may have stayed.
Yeah, anybody that came along with them,
Yeah.
wanted to hang out. But if that person's going through some health issues, you want to make sure you've released the health issue, that you're not holding on to that because that can make you ill.
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so at the end of a session, after they leave, you release everything on that because you don't want to hold on to these things.
So there's a lot of personal things that you can add to your Reiki practice, however you do Reiki. It's not a set procedure. You have to do blah, 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 blah. I mean, I know there's guidelines, but you could still personalize it for you as a person doing Reiki.
Yeah, as long as you're following the principles
Mm-hmm.
and as long as you're following where you're supposed to lay your hands on someone.
Mm-hmm.
But you can. And like I said, how I disconnect from someone may not be how someone, another practitioner does.
Makes sense. It is funny, though, how whenever I'm doing research for the podcast or whenever you and I are talking about things, how every once in a while I get that a little nudge to go research
Mm-hmm.
something that is then what I'm drawn to, and then I can read it and follow it, understand it right away. But then you talk about things, and I'm like, well, what is that? And I go to look for it, and I can't find a word, anything on it at all. Kind of like how you were last week whenever we did the episode on
Oh,
the traditional Chinese medicine. It's really
yes.
amazing how spirit will guide you where you need to be or what you should be looking at that time,
Yeah.
and how you were drawn to Reiki that way.
Yeah. There's something in the traditional Chinese medicine that you need, I think, is why you were so drawn to it. You know what I'm saying?
Probably.
But see, you've been doing Tai Chi.
I have been, yeah.
So that gave you more of a, possibly gave you more of a, yes, you're on the right path with the Tai Chi.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel it's a good thing.
And it
So,
gave more of a spiritual, yeah, made it more spiritual, I think.
hmm,
Yeah, so, but that's just my opinion.
right.
What do I know?
Yeah. So with the symbols, I was only drawn to go so far, and that was it. And
Mhm.
you could only talk so far about it, and that was it. So it's really interesting how that all works together.
Yeah, but I mean, you could find them on the internet.
Yeah, I didn't have to though. I didn't need to.
Yeah, yeah. So, but so if you listeners want to look them up, you can find almost anything on the internet. So,
So how was the process for you in the learning? I know that you have to do there's criteria before you can move on to the Reiki 2 from Reiki 1, and then you become a master after that. How was the process for you? Did you find it a struggle to get through the Reiki 1 to 2? Was it fairly simple?
no, no. To me, it was fairly simple to do the course and everything. It's just you're just sometimes memorizing the symbols themselves and how to draw them because I'm not familiar with Japanese symbols.
Oh, right.
So I had to really practice saying some of the symbols because the names were so foreign to me
Mm-hmm.
that it was a little difficult, to try to, I'm like looking at the pronunciation and I'm like, okay, yeah. So I had to learn that. And then you have to learn where, you place your hands and the different, there's a lot of hand signals, symbols in Reiki.
Oh, sure.
And so you're having to memorize a lot of information. So it's a process.
Yeah.
And I was learning Reiki for me.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going with the point of view you want to be a practicing Reiki master, then it's very you're going to need to know every single hand symbol, every single how to draw and pronounce
Mm-hmm.
the symbols themselves.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of information. So it's kind of like it's how you assimilate information, how quickly you do it, on how long it takes you to move on to the next stage. It's up to you. If you're an individual who has an autoimmune disorder or just kind of has some health issues, I think learning Reiki is a great opportunity for you to be able to do self Reiki. Like I said, you could either do a group Reiki class. Those are a little more expensive, but then they have a big ceremony for the attunement. And if you're a person who needs that ceremony to really feel like, okay, I've done it, then that's probably the way you should go.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need that affirmation that it's working.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So when I got the attunement, I did it. She sent it to me because I did the class online and through Udemy, and it was a certain time you had to be set aside to be able to, for the process was to lay down on a comfortable surface at a specific time, expect to lay there for at least an hour and just meditate and close your eyes and just wait. And then when my hands started getting hot when I was doing Reiki, I knew, for me, that was the confirmation it worked. I'm like, well, that worked. Okay. Because I didn't feel anything getting the attunement, but that doesn't mean you will, I'm saying it because everybody receives energy differently.
Mm-hmm.
But when my palms started getting hot, and I was doing the different techniques, I'm like, okay, it did work.
So that was your confirmation.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Do you feel you are at a stage where you could teach people Reiki, or do you have to have, what is involved to teach someone else Reiki or to give an attunement?
I don't feel that is my path to teach Reiki. As you know, as a Reiki master, you can teach Reiki to others. That's you could do that. That's not my thing. That's not my calling.
Right.
I don't feel drawn to it, to teach it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not my path. It just never was something I even thought of doing.
Yeah.
And then you bringing it up, I'm like, no.
Yeah. Well, I just meant as a Reiki master, then you as the generic you are at a position to where you could teach that if that was what you were drawn to do once you become a Reiki master.
I believe that there's probably another level
Oh, okay.
for teaching. I feel there is. I never went there, never thought about it, never looked for it.
Okay.
Because it just, I'll teach jewelry making all day long. If you want to learn how to wire wrap, I'll teach you. But, that's just because I've always been drawn to do that. I've always been in the jewelry business, and, that's for always drawn to it,
Mm-hmm.
But this was sort more for me, so yeah, I probably wouldn't even think about teaching it.
Okay. Well, I didn't know what else.
Yeah, I think if you were a practicing Reiki person,
Mm-hmm.
then you would probably have, if it was in your wheelhouse to teach it, people would come to you wanting to be taught it.
Got
Is
it.
how I feel,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not. I just did it for me and some family members, It's
Yeah.
just like, I think it's a very useful modality for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps, like I said, I can, work on my chakras. I can do the energy flow through me. I have done it for some people, but, it's just kind of like, I believe in it. I think it's great. And I like I like receiving Reiki. I like giving myself Reiki. I'm not just going to put a shingle out and say, Reiki Master, come here,
But I get it. Yeah. I just didn't know if there was another stage for the teaching aspect of it, but cool.
Yeah, there probably is. I just never investigated it.
Okay, cool.
When I did Reiki 1, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do Reiki 2. And then I did the Reiki Master. That was all just for me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I needed to do it. I felt drawn to do it.
Right. Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add to this episode, Kim?
No, I think that's about it for all my questions with Reiki and stuff. I think it was a fun episode.
Well, hopefully it was. For the listeners,
Yeah.
We have fun all the time. It doesn't mean, so hopefully the listeners enjoyed this episode of Reiki. And do we have anything else in the series for healing?
Well, there is sound healing that I thought we might touch upon.
Okay.
We already covered the distance healer more or less because that's part of Reiki and you just talked about it.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, listeners, thank you for tuning in and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. We can be reached on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.